11 years ago, this house in the historic St. Elmo neighborhood in Chattanooga, here at the base of Lookout Mountain, was actually condemned. Scott Drucker and his wife Olga have turned it into a showpiece, and I can't wait for you to see it. Well, from the Artemisia and the Queen Anne's lace and the roses out by the street, all the way into the little entrance courtyard, this is sort of your responsibility, Scott. You've started planting right at the front edge of the property and worked your way inward.
I created the monster, and now I have to deal with it.
I gotcha. I completely understand.
You know, it takes care of itself in some ways. So,
right.
And I enjoy it.
Yeah, and so the little strip, even by the sidewalk, it's just only 12 or 14 inches wide. It's very narrow, but it probably was just crabgrass and Bermuda grass.
It was just always a chore to keep that weed eated. I'll try something native like the Queen Anne's lace because it should be tough. And it has turned out to be amazing. And also the Artemisia, a very invasive spreading variety, was able to be contained in there.
Yeah.
And we love the silver foliage and the white to tie in with our theme.
Not something you'd want in the garden.
No, I
because
wouldn't want
you
to
couldn't.
put it in here.
Yeah.
But it's a ground cover Artemisia, and it mixes with the beautiful white Queen Anne's lace.
Yeah.
And at night it just glows, and it just really enlightens the whole property, I think, out there.
So the front garden was the first thing you developed garden-wise after you moved into the house.
Right, just for the curb appeal, of course.
Right.
And then at first there was no fence and arbor, and we just did curb appeal planting, and then the fence and arbor came a little later after that.
As often happens.
Right.
You know, you have to just sort of wait sometimes to A, decide what you want, B, have the budget to do it, those kinds of things.
But we did save that historic gate from our previous historic house. And we knew we'd want to reuse it someday, and I painted it white to go with everything.
Right.
And we have another one that's going to go in the back to match.
Oh, fantastic.
So everyone loves that gate out there.
Now, I noticed you have a lot of roses, and you've got the most sun probably in this part of the garden.
There's the most here and a little bit in the back too, some areas.
Are they heirloom roses? Are they historic varieties? What's your preference on many of the roses?
I love the antique heirloom roses. So we do have, like this one is called Clotilde Saupere. It's a French name. And it's a polyantha, and it smells, and it's a beautiful rose. It's blooming now even when nothing else, most roses have gone over.
Yeah, there's some other interesting little plants in here that I noticed. This almost looks like a little hollyhock.
It is. It's Malva zebrina, which is the French hollyhock. And everyone loves that one. And although it gets a little rust like most hollyhocks, you can control it by pinching off the infected leaves. But you can let it, I like to let them go to seed, and even though they get tall and ratty looking like that one over there, you save the seeds and then you can give them to friends, you throw them in your garden.
Scatter them around.
They just kind of come up everywhere just like this cleomes do.
I also like that you've used these topiaries and some other evergreens in places. It offers structure in the garden, probably at a season, maybe even not so noticeable in the summer when everything's grown up, but then in the winter you really get great structure out of them.
I love these ligustrum topiaries. They're easier than boxwoods. I love boxwoods too, but ligustrums seem to be tougher than anything. And as long as you prune them, but they don't let them go to flower and just shape them up a little bit, they're pretty low maintenance. And then we have these beautiful tea olives, Osmanthus fragrans on this side here, which adds so much, not only evergreen, but the smell that you get from those.
And those bloom in the winter.
They have a very tiny white bloom, but the fragrance
is
amazing in late fall, early winter. And then we have camellias and cherry laurel on that side, and actually banana shrub is in there too. And
so that gives you evergreen and privacy, even though your neighbors are very close.
These are great neighbors, but we still like to have a little bit of a garden room feel. So it has mystery. It's mystery to the garden.
So as we walk from the front garden to the back garden, it kind of transitions into this really beautiful deck and sitting area. Tell me about the garden back here.
Well, Troy, this garden was a sun garden, and we had roses all around the fountain. But as you can see, we have this 100-year-old oak tree that came with the house, and then as the tree kept growing, then the roses kept getting leggy. They didn't bloom enough. So we figured that we had to change our original idea. We kept getting more shade. we completely changed the whole scheme, and now it's like a woodland garden.
Right, right. And then you also have beautiful containers around on the deck and in other places too. Do you do all your containers?
Yes, we do. We like a kind of a woodland loose style because I like to watch the hummingbirds. I like to sit there and eat, and then you see them going from box to box. And we got inspired by the gardens in London.
Okay.
So this is like an English meets Southern style.
Gotcha. So you have a lot of hydrangeas in the garden also.
Yes, we love hydrangeas because they add a lot of color when a lot of other shrubs and perennials are tired, are overbloomed in the summer.
Yeah, so you've got the oak leaves and then these pretty blue, just the old-fashioned mop heads.
Yes.
This could be any number of varieties probably, but these really beautiful big flowers that last for several weeks. And then on behind you here a little bit, we've got lace caps, and then even the Annabelle.
Yes, we like to match a lot of white to the fencing and like that bench. And for example, we have a snowball viburnum on this side. So it looks beautiful in the spring, the big snowballs with the bench.
You also have a really interesting mixture of trees, shrubs, perennials, evergreens, non-evergreens. So is that on purpose? It gives you the most interest maybe?
Yes, because as you can see, we don't have a lot of annuals.
Right.
And we like plants that come back. So we do have a lot of the perennials, but for example, like the Helleborus is an evergreen and it'll bloom in the winter.
Right.
So while a lot of things are not blooming, we have the Helleborus and a lot of camellias. Which looks spectacular. And we like to have a succession of blooming in the garden. So we have a lot of red buds and roses and magnolias and so on.
Yeah, so any season of the year you can have something beautiful in bloom, and whether you're out here enjoying it or whether you cut it and bring it indoors, there's always a flower to be had.
Yes, and even if nothing is blooming, like in here, we have the structure with the boxwoods and the beautiful hostas.
Right.
We get a lot of texture. As you can see, we like to mix like the astilbes with the ferns, the finer leaf with the thicker and broader leaves. So that it looks interesting.
Right, so you've got that textural combination.
Yes, we
And then
love
even
that.
in the winter when the hostas are dormant and underground, you've still got the boxwoods and the monkey grass and that sort of stuff giving you the structure even in the wintertime.
Yes.
Now one of my favorite oak leaf hydrangeas is this double flowered one. It's so beautiful. It looks like it really blooms a long time.
Yes, it does, and we love to combine it with other kinds of hydrangeas. Because it's so unusual and it's so bright.
Right.
The white really pops because as you can see, this is a shade garden and it gets kind of dark sometimes. So that adds a lot of light to the garden.
Yeah, it really brightens it up. Well, Olga, Scott, I want to thank you for letting us come and be a part of your garden for a little while. It's obvious that this garden brings you guys so much joy and pleasure, and you can really have a beautiful garden all the time.
We try. What we really try, is just maybe to impart on everybody is that don't be overwhelmed. You can always change things, you can move things around. We have the planters so we can experiment, and we like to explain that you can have 4 seasons of interest. So you have to have your evergreen for structure, and then your color, your perennials that come back every year for the color, and the little pops of annuals if you like. So you always can have something. You don't have to feel like there's dead seasons and no color, even in the winter.
Right.
Here. So that's what I would say is don't be overwhelmed and just try something and you can do it.
Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.